when your vision is clouded and you can't yet see what's forming beneath the surface. I've learned that most fruitful moments, the ones that truly lead to growth and healing, often happen in that incubation period, those shower moments. It's that quiet space between effort and understanding, the pause before clarity arrives. Rudolf Arnheim once wrote in Visual Thinking, to find the appropriate range of a problem, it's almost tantamount to find its solution. I love that idea because it reminds me that art doesn't hand us answers, it widens our questions until the truth finally has room to surface. Show first slide, please. When I made this first painting, my daughter had just been born, and with her arrival came a flood of emotions, joy, fear, awe, all layered on top of sleep deprivation. What was going on in my mind? I do know the crushing weight of parenthood was on my mind. But that's the point. Art becomes the mirror that showed me what words couldn't. It captured the swirl of parenting, fear, hope, insecurity, love, and the constant humbling act of giving. When I look at this image now, I realize it wasn't being about being lost in the chaos. It was about making sense of it. Art gave me a way to see my inner world, to acknowledge the mess, accept the change, and express what it means to love something so fragile and so fierce at the same time. I was the artist of my family. Most pictures of me as a kid show the same thing, a brooding, moody look. Now, when I see the same expression in some of my students, I can't help but wonder, just like my parents once did, what's going on in that kid's mind? I'm grateful now that I am in a position to help them clear up their own muddy waters. It's a familiar battle helping them, as I once helped myself learn to sit with a mess until something meaningful begins to emerge. Please show the second slide. This piece was my way of working through life with my daughters and my wife. I grew up with four brothers, so finding my place in a house full of women has been an adjustment. This series is called Squish, Squeeze, Pull, which feels about right. Because in that daily push in between love, frustration, and surrender, it's pretty clear I am not going to win. And maybe that's the point. Eric Jensen states in his book, Arts with a Brain in Mind, the beauty of art is that they are both deep and wide in their benefits. They can improve nearly everything that schools need today: self-esteem, health, inclusion, motivation, attendance, grades, community involvement, and communication skills. Please show the next slide. This final piece was made with my daughter's help. We pressed our faces together as hard as we could until our cheeks flattened and our features blended. I took a photo, and later I painted it. It became a portrait of connection, imperfect, a little absurd, but profoundly human. And it makes me wonder, how do we as a society encourage our communities, our stakeholders, to honor the cathartic powers of art making, especially in difficult times? Because I still see a lot of muddy water. The legacy of COVID still lingers in the faces of our children, in the eyes of our students. Maybe it's time we reconsider how we grade the arts, how we teach them, and how we keep trying to fit them into a model built on repetition and regurgitation. Jensen writes, the measuring of arts may not destroy the learning available for them, but it will miss the complex, subtle, but powerful ways in which arts enhance our lives. We may kill off the joy, the love, the sense of wonder and discovery that must go hand in hand with learning. Arts are the goose. Let's not kill the goose that lays the golden egg. He's right. Art gives us back our humanity. And if we lose that, there's no test in the world that can bring it back. I thank you all for your time, and I am officially done.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That was beautiful beyond what I could have ever hoped for, and such a perfect way to frame this conversation. Thank you so much. I dropped a link to Matthew's page in the chat, which is a very active chat. So I'm going to put it in again here. Encourage you all to check out his beautiful work. I'm super delighted to introduce our first speaker spotlight, the incredible Jessie Larita Spanglet, who works at the intersection of creative aging and dance. Jessie's a dance and health practitioner and an artist educator based in Brunswick. Jessie has taught courses on the topic of dance and health at Colby College and the University of Southern Maine, where she's currently a lecturer in the Department of Theater. Jessie was named a 2024 National Arts Strategies Creative Community Fellow, New England, and used her fellowship to work towards an arts-based social prescribing program for Maine communities, which is where the intersection where I first met Jessie. And so it's delightful to hear from her today and dive into that incredible work she does.
Thank you so much, Molly. And thank you, Matthew. I'm a little emotional after hearing that. It's so beautiful and so moving, and it's so moving to be here with all of you, thinking about this intersection of arts and health and arts as a health behavior. So like Molly said, my name is Jessie Larita Spanglet, and I moved here to Maine about 6 years ago. I live in Brunswick, but I've been interested in this intersection of dance and health for about a decade now. Next slide, please. In 2015, I joined the Improvement team. And we are a team led by a dance professor and a neuroscience professor at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And our team has sort of three arms that we focus on. We do teaching, we do training, and we do research. We're currently working on our second NIH-funded research project, which seeks to understand the ideal dose of dance for older adults with perceived memory loss. So in our study, participants are randomized into a once a week, twice a week, or 3 times a week dance group or a control group. And it is a randomized controlled trial, RCT. And we're looking at cardiorespiratory and cognitive outcomes as well as attendance, because really we want to know how much dance is realistic for people to do and ideal for people to do in a given week. The method that our work focuses on is called improvement, improvisational movement for brain-body health. And in improvement classes, we use verbal auditory prompts to elicit unique movement responses. So I'm going to ask you all to just try this a little bit with me as an example. So we might say in a class, let's conduct an orchestra. So what does that feel like? Let's all conduct an orchestra. Yeah, beautiful. I can only see a couple of you, but I think we're all doing it. Okay, and now let's conduct traffic. So very different feeling, really clear and direct. Yeah, good. Great, and then let's conduct traffic with our left hand and conduct an orchestra with our right hand. Yeah, beautiful. Let's make it 50% smaller. Good. And 10%, so it's tiny, tiny. Beautiful. Good. We can rest. So that just gives you a little bit of a sense of the sort of prompts that we use in our movement curriculum. Our movement curriculum is based on sort of 4 tenets: non-judgment, non-competitiveness, curiosity and playfulness, and risk-taking. And then we have a training component of what we do as well, where we train teachers who are interested in teaching our movement curriculum. We also hold annual workshops, sort of introductory workshops to our 3 sort of arms. Next slide, please. So about 2 years ago, I was lucky to form a partnership with Kate Parker, who I believe is here today, who runs Maine Health Lifestyle Medicine in Brunswick. And together we're thinking about ways that the arts can be a part of healthcare, what the role arts are in health and healthcare. So I've started teaching weekly improvement classes at Maine Health Lifestyle Medicine here in Brunswick. I'm currently teaching them on Mondays from 10 to 11. The class is open to anybody who is 18 years of age or older, and I would love for you all to come join us. You can find me on LinkedIn or at improvement.wfu.edu. Thank you.
You are also punctual. I don't have to do any Academy Award speech song ending. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I've been dropping links in the chat, and rest assured, if you're missing them, they will be coming out to you after. So don't worry if you've missed one. That was incredible, Jesse. Thank you so much. Next, delighted to introduce the two directors and co-founders of Hogfish, Matt and Edwin Cahill. Hogfish deals in the division of our times by cultivating a new genre of regenerative arts, which are stories and artistic experiences that restore the connections between mind and body, individual and community, and people and planet. From the top down, the production company adapts classics and creates new works that center traditionally underrepresented voices. From the bottom up, the residency supports artists in residence to create regenerative arts projects from their own perspectives. So welcome, Matt and Edwin.
Hi, thanks so much for having us. It's a real honor to be here. I'm Matt Cahill. I use he, they pronouns, and this is my husband.
Hello, I'm Edwin.
Edwin Cahill, too. Yeah. I guess I'll start and just say that the idea for regenerative arts came to us when we.
What?
Oh, the idea for regenerative arts came to us when we were married at Wolf's Neck Center for Agriculture. And it was a big thing for us because when we first met, marriage wasn't possible federally or in Maine. And it opened up a dialogue for us about what a community can do for individuals and then what reciprocity is available when systems start to change. And by our wedding at Wolf's Neck, we were first introduced to the idea of regenerative agriculture. And we were both artists working in New York City and dreaming of a different way of working, a little bit bruised and burnt out from Juilliard School and teaching and New York City Opera and things like that, and Broadway. And I was always asking, can we do more than just, oftentimes in that scene, it felt like the best thing we could do is raise money for important causes. And it felt like the arts had something to do that could be really important for society that many of you are doing, but in those circles, it didn't come up a lot. And so the idea of regenerative agriculture for me made me think of, wouldn't it be amazing if there was a regenerative arts and a way of applying the same principles to the arts and thinking of, rather than being sustainable or the least amount of problem, being part of the solution. And so we looked at some of the principles, which were biodiversity, diversity. So EDI diversity is very important to our work. Up until I met my husband, I had never acted with someone who I would have been interested in romantically on stage, and you're asked to be authentic and true to yourself. And I realized how much of a big part that is of my story, and perhaps for other kids watching stories, that if they never see themselves on stage, how powerful that is. So that's part of our residency, is inviting people to come tell their story and empowering them to do so. So we offer techniques like the Alexander technique, which I teach, which is a mind-body awareness. We offer Reiki healing, nature baths, shamanism, time in the gardens, lots of things we've been experimenting with for people to make their best work and feel supported to do so. And that it actually takes a community, a container to hold that for them. So we've been experimenting with that. We're training to be group therapists, and because we're learning that that's really important to be able to hold the space for our colleagues. And speaking of which, I just love to do one little moment with you all as this mind-body connection and people and community connection that we all practice here. So just inviting you to take a moment and let your eyes soften away from the screen. Notice your breath. Notice where you're touching the floor or the ground. And a little gratitude for Pachamama, Mother Earth, who's never let you go. You're always in her lap. And seeing if there's anywhere you can do a little bit less work and just let yourself rest in the floor. And just notice what that's like. And then if we can, I don't know, this might be renegade, if we can come off mute and if we can all hum a note together, any note whatsoever. And then when I hold up my hand like this, if we can try to find the same note that we're humming all together. So this idea of like how do we all activate our voices but find something together, which is one of the central things we're working on. So when I go like this, we're all going to just hum whatever note comes out. And then when I go like that again, we're going to try to find one note together. Ready? Great. We
That
just made an art piece together.
that was so wonderful. And I just quickly in a minute just wanted to say I grew up in Scarborough. I went to Scarborough Public Schools, and I never dreamed that I could live in Maine again. And to be here and to be so welcomed by the community, both as a male couple, but also with the arts that we're hoping and dreaming to create with all of you, has been one of the greatest healing moments of my life. And we have a number of productions coming up, including a non-Indigenous, Indigenous collaboration musical called Queen Marinette, which really brings together the Indigenous and non-Indigenous wisdom around a Native American heroine from the 19th century. So that's one of the pieces we have coming up, and we hope that we can get to meet some of you, all of you, over the next year and exchange and connect and find resonance together.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just dropping a link to Queen Marinette so everyone can learn more about that. That was very interesting to do a collaborative Zoom sonic experience. Thank you so much for that. Could be a good part of any meeting, I think. So next I have the extraordinary pleasure to introduce Megan Scribner, who is the Arts Integration Specialist and Program Manager at Side by Side. Side by Side is an organization. I lost my note here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let Megan do that. Megan is an interdisciplinary artist and educator with a master's degree in counseling and art therapy and fine arts. She has always been curious about the interplay between the arts and resilience in education and mental and physical health. Megan brings a breadth of experience and creative energy to Side by Side. Her work includes curriculum and program development, collaborative teaching, and professional development design and implementation. And she's here to share with us a little about arts and health integration as it relates to education and training. So Megan.
Thank you, Molly. And thank you so much, Matt and Edwin. I needed that grounding moment to calm my nerves a little bit. Thank you, Eli, for the slides. I just want to say a little bit first about Side by Side. We are a small nonprofit in Portland with statewide reach. We work with artists and educators, organizations, universities to put art kind of at the center of all that we do. And as our name implies, we work collaboratively side by side with folks. And that's really important in the work we do because we feel like we are better when we are more, and that there's further reach and inclusion when we can collaborate together. I'll talk first about the three pieces of work that we do and how those things relate to arts and health. And Molly, I might go on and on, so please wave at me if I'm going too far. I'll describe a little bit about our in-school programs. We pair teaching artists with classroom teachers to design units around whatever unit the teachers choose to sort of support the students through learning. We find that there are a lot of students in the public schools, particularly in Portland and Lewiston where we work, that are struggling to learn or maybe coming from very traumatic backgrounds that need extra support in the classroom. And the arts give them voice in a way that nothing else can. They feel seen, they feel heard, their teachers begin to see them in new ways. They're able to articulate what they've learned in these creative ways. What you're seeing here are paper mache salmon that each student made after they learned about their local river and waterways through a Wabanaki unit. These students not only learned history, literacy, research, some art making pieces, but then they're able to tell their story of their learning in these new ways. It's a very powerful experience for them. We have many students who might not speak in class, often come alive. They work with their puppets to tell their own story. So we see this over and over again. And what we see also is that in each of these units, Students build confidence, not just in their learning, but in their own ability to speak out and be their unique selves. And this carries over. It has a ripple effect and a lasting impact. So they're really learning and developing these social emotional skills that we kind of believe will keep supporting their mental health into the future. Next slide. So another area of work that we do is community arts programming through our studio in downtown Portland. We had rich things that went awry during COVID, and we're just bringing back some of our after-school programming, our summer camps, offering multi-generational opportunities for people to come in and make together. This making together, this act of creating, as you all know, really sparks conversation. It as Matthew first said, it calms that muddy water where you can begin to see clarity and maybe perhaps see something new in the person that you're creating next to or with. Next slide. Another avenue of our work, and this is has some new components as well that's really exciting, is our professional development. We've offered professional development for educators for many years, and have expanded that across the state. And this is really to help educators see the value in making themselves, but also to bringing that art into the classroom. Many educators really report that this brings a lot of joy back to their work, which can revive them. There are teachers who said, oh my gosh, I was going to give my resignation, and this has really inspired me to stay on and try something new in the classroom. We find that this work also really helps teachers recognize strengths in students that they might not otherwise see. And they begin to notice students who may be struggling that they had not considered might benefit from something new. They give them some artwork techniques that they've learned at our trainings and really see these students come alive and engage in school. Behavior drops, academic learning increases, and collaborative work also increases. Another part of our professional development work is a recent training that we just did with the Maine Arts Commission in collaboration with them, called Maine Creates. And this was to reach across the state to teaching artists, to really activate them to work in their communities, especially in the rural areas where we know that isolation and loneliness are really contributing factors to decline in health. And this training, this little pilot training that we did, really sparked a lot more questions, which is exciting. That's exactly where we wanted to be. But also really engaged a bunch of artists working in unique spaces. One interesting component is that many of these rural artists are working with their local libraries to reach the communities, because those libraries are the sort of central hubs for those smaller areas. One teaching artist is running a few workshops and then creating art kits that folks can check out of the library like they would a book, and then use those art kits at home during the winter months, and then bring back their artwork to show in a collective exhibit in the spring at the local library. Another part of that collaboration, which has been really exciting and interesting, is that we're also working with the Maine Coalition of Aging. I think I have that right. I always get the acronym confused. And this is really exciting too, to train teaching artists to be in specific spaces and working with specific populations. As we all know, Maine has a large population of aging folks. So this is an area where we know, as Jesse pointed out as well, where the arts are essential. And so the more training we can provide for artists and educators and teaching artists across the state, the better. And then one last thing that I'll just share is, again, that our organization is always collaborating and always looking for new spaces to support one another. So if you have an idea or a space we're not thinking of, please reach out. We're always interested in talking more, developing ideas, and working together.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. That was great. There's a few links here about how to get in touch with Side by Side, learn more about Maine Creates, learn more about the Maine Council on Aging and some of the work in the intersections there. Thank you again so much, Megan. Next, I'm pleased to introduce, oh, we have a poll coming up. Take a look at that poll. I'll give everybody a minute to read that while I also share a little bit about our next speaker. Megan Quigley Graham is the Director of Learning and Teaching at the Portland Museum of Art. And the Portland Museum of Art is doing a really interesting thing with medical professionals and helping them become even stronger medical professionals through the arts, which she'll tell you much more about. Megan is currently, as I said, the Director of Learning and Teaching at the Portland Museum of Art. In her role there, she engages with school communities, including students, educators, and administrators. She develops and sustains school partnership programs, including a partnership with Portland Public Schools. And so what she's here to talk about today is the partnership with the medical community in Southern Maine, primarily with Maine Medical Center. They're focusing on the connections between art, health, and medical practice. She holds a BA in art history from Wheaton, an MA in music education, and has nearly 15 years of experience in the museum field that she's bringing to this incredible and innovative work. So Megan, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for being here this morning and spending your Friday morning with us. This is a really powerful Zoom room. I'm really in awe of where everybody's coming from and just being able to see all the different ways that we are all thinking about the intersection between arts and health. So yeah, I'm coming to you all from the Portland Museum of Art right in downtown Portland. I've been with the PMA for about 12 years and have been managing our arts and health programs since 2018. And I really just want to kind of start my section. I've been reflecting on my work with the medical communities a lot, and I feel a really overwhelming sense of gratitude and just that I get to do this work. I feel so lucky that I get to work with medical professionals, and especially just as a parent with young children, I have never had to navigate our medical systems more than I do right now. And I always start a lot of my programs with our medical professionals just with that gratitude, because I just have so much gratitude and just I'm in awe of the work that they do and that they choose to do that for a living. Eli, we can put up the first slide, please. Thank you. So just to kind of ground us in, why art and medicine, why that connection, I'm sure we're all here because we're curious about that crossover between the arts and health sectors. Most of us probably believe in that healing, transformative power of the arts in all its forms. And now, thanks to these incredible speakers highlighting their programs, we can now further envision ways to connect these two fields. The crossover between arts and health has been a growing initiative within art museums and medical facilities or schools around the world. So it is an international movement. There are so many programs with art museums and medical schools or facilities. Most of the programs focus on the cultivation and development of key skills. And here at the PMA, we create programs that tap into these skills through activities and discussions designed with medical professionals in mind. So there are a lot of skills that, especially the visual arts, are really the perfect realm in which to practice these skills. I always think of visual art as this third party in interactions. We can project who we are, how we feel, how we see and experience the world onto these visual objects and have really rich, complex conversations and experiences around the ways in which we're approaching the artwork. These visual art objects can then provide avenues for sharing all of these different ways that we experience the world. And I always go into my conversations, whether it's with kindergartners or doctors, that art is this beautiful space where there are really no right or wrong answers. Maybe who painted it or who the artist is, or maybe the date, but even sometimes those are debatable. So it's this space where we can really live in a world where there are no right or wrong answers and kind of live in this gray area and kind of sit with this ambiguity. So through curated activities and discussions, visual art can help cultivate and develop the following skills, which are on this slide here. A big one that we talk a lot about is curiosity, empathy, communication, comfort with ambiguity and the unknown, which can be really hard for everyone. Just in our world and thinking about our lives outside of school and outside of work, sitting with the unknown can be really challenging. And sometimes when we're faced with an art object that is really unfamiliar to us, we can sometimes feel a sense of like shutting down or of fear, and just leaning into that curiosity can really help us to just think more deeply about why it is that we're having some of these initial reactions. And in that same vein, art can help us think about or start to recognize bias, help practice close observation, slowing down in this really fast-paced world where we're inundated with images constantly. Sometimes we'll spend 30 minutes with just one artwork, really unpacking it. And the average visitor in a museum spends about 17 seconds with artwork. So really just trying to buck that trend. We focus on co-creation and collaboration. So working together to co-create meaning. Honoring multiple perspectives and truths. These are spaces where multiple truths and perspectives can exist and can exist harmoniously. And then we also practice that self-awareness. So being aware that the way that we all individually see things and experience things is not the same way that everybody does, and being okay with that. So we also talk about how in the Art Museum, this is a space where we can practice these skills in a low-risk environment. A lot of these doctors and nurses are practicing their skills in a high-risk environment where sometimes there are literal lives at stake. So when we're in the Art Museum, we can slow it down and we can start to help our brains to practice some of these skills so that when we're in these more fast-paced environments, they can those synapses can fire a little bit faster. We can go to the next slide, please.
Just want to give a little 30-second warning, Megan. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
okay, so
There's
sorry.
so much to talk about here.
I know. Yeah, sorry. I thought I had practiced this really well, but okay. So we have a bunch of different art and health programs here at the PMA. We work with the Maine Medical Center Library. We do this art and medicine program. We've been working with the University of Southern Maine Nursing, bringing their students here to the PMA and doing a bunch of different activities, using artwork as the jumping off point. We work with Tufts University Medical School, their main track students. And so these are their third year medical students, and we bring them in for a full day of programming here. And then we've also been working with different departments within Maine Med and really just hearing about their goals and what skills that they are looking to focus on, and building experiences from that. So I know there's so much more to talk about, and I'll just skip my last slide, but if anybody's curious about hearing more, clearly I have a lot to say on this topic, so I'm going to end there. Thank you.
Amazing. I love that. I'm, talking about how we need more time with artwork, and then, rushing you to finish this complex topic. That doesn't feel good, but thank you so much for that introduction to everything that you're doing. Next, we're going to hear from Catherine Doty, who works in expressive arts in somatics. Catherine studied visual art and somatics at Hampshire College. She practiced massage therapy for 20 years while continuing her creative work and engagement with somatic movement modalities. From 2015 to 2019, she attended Tamalpa Institute's Expressive Arts Training Program, which I'll link to in the chat. She completed her 18-year series of archetypal portraiture in my own language while continuing to navigate metastatic breast cancer. She offers expressive arts and somatic therapies to individuals and groups, and works on a second durational project called Finding the Ocean, which is a 365-piece jewelry journal. So you'll get a lot of links to all of those incredibly intriguing things, and I'll pass it over to Catherine.
Hello, thank you for having me. So wonderful to be here. And yes, slowing, right, is a large part of this work, but I'm going to do just some definitions Expressive arts uses multiple modalities and includes performing arts, so dance, drama, voice, and theater, in combination with visual arts, writing, and therapeutic structures and dialogues. So art therapy we typically think of as visual arts and one modality, and expressive arts combines multiple arts and this intermodal process, this switching and shuttling between different modalities becomes important in some of the ways expressive arts functions. And somatics is a word that people are hearing a lot now. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I am in a particular branch of somatics with a larger awareness of the whole field. But somatics basically means of or referring to the body. Soma meaning body or living organism. That's so the field of somatics covers a lot. I can talk, that could be another whole conversation. But for me, I'm basically in like mind, body, mind, relational studies and approaches, and the whole idea of embodiment and how we can practice embodiment and how that can be a part of our lives. And as well as I would say, I like to say, moving away from something idealized and stylized or a good workout per se, and towards really understanding our bodies, being able to navigate our environments in our bodies, an appreciation of our bodies, and learning to let the body think. So my background, I drifted towards martial arts at a young age. As a teenager, it had an element of something that I wasn't able to find in sort of more traditional dance as a young person, but I was always interested in all the arts. And when I went to college, I was immediately able to continue studying Tai Chi and Qigong, which was really where my interest was. And then, but also introduced to a whole umbrella of like postmodern somatic approaches, which became core to my practice today. So that includes authentic movement, contact improvisation, and just the overall kind of a postmodern approach to performance and dance and theater that incorporates a lot of this somatic work. So I then went on. I also took my first massage therapy class right in my first year of college. And I had long interested in massage therapy at all. And this was before massage therapy was even really a thing, right? Or really had the intense popularity that it does today. So I've several years after college went on to get massage therapy school, and yes, all the while continuing my own multimodal arts practice and continuing my engagement with these somatic teachings. I began to teach and also was always attending workshops and classes and staying involved in that field. So when I was diagnosed, fast forward 12 years to 2011, and that became such a process. I was really, even at that time, very much able to employ these approaches, both from my own creative process, but also from what I had been studying and learning. And then after the bulk, I had 3 separate diagnoses, and I did then, for the long healing process and this long process of uncertainty in survival, was able to attend Tamalpa Institute and complete that full program. Um, so, uh, you, uh, the Tamalpa Institute is unique in that way because it was one of the original programs in expressive arts and somatics. So they were really one of the first places. So I say it's somatic based expressive arts, which doesn't mean that it's all movement again, but it means that it's coming from the perspective of the body. And so I include in the work that I do, anatomy and physiology, experiential anatomy, um, and learning how to find stories, find our personal narratives and our mythologies through the different frameworks and structures that I employ. It functions in many ways also, but it helps people find truly individualized resources, to the process of witnessing and being witnessed, and so seeing and being seen, um, learning from other people, um, as well as really learning how to find things within ourself. So
Sorry, Catherine, I'm going to give a little 30-second warning. I'm so sorry. There's so much to talk about
no,
here.
that's fine. I employ this work now. I work one-on-one with people currently. I also work with groups. I do consulting also, especially for folks who are interested in incorporating these into their current or existing practice. And right now I'm teaching a course at OLLI, Osher Institute for Lifelong Learning. And that course is entitled Embodied Living, Body Mythology for Self-Companionship. So talking to a number of organizations and working on some proposals, and as also certainly always looking for some folks to collaborate with.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Catherine. So I'll pass us on next to Jean Dean, who is a member of the St. Joseph Hospital Healing Arts Commission, which was established in 2014. St. Joseph Hospital is based in Bangor and has a healing arts program that enhances the healthcare environment and is overseen by the St. Joseph Healthcare Art Commission, which is a group of volunteers who guide exhibitions and acquisition of art, sculpture, music, performances, and so on. So Jean, welcome.
Thank you, Molly. I have been well trained by your father to stay within the time limit. So he's one of my favorite people. I, therefore, like Matthew, wrote my comments. It's a bit like trying to fit all the Shakespeare plays in 5 minutes. As you said, about 10 years ago, it all started, led by then CEO Mary Privolo and a handful of volunteers who embraced the mission of providing uplifting art that promotes well-being of St. Joseph Hospital patients, their families, employees, and all the other visitors. Art in this case includes other elements of the humanities, especially music, and to a more limited extent in poetry, but we're still exploring. Early work included an art cart loaded with fine prints for patients in rooms and the acquisition and hanging of art donated to the breast center. Success of these initial programs led to a bigger idea, with the addition of an art gallery incorporated as part of the new internal medicine building built on the 900 Broadway campus. The gallery at 900 abuts the waiting area, and in that building we have quite a bit of permanent art, including an impressive granite and lucite sculpture and a quiet meditation alcove. However, we rotate exhibits at Gallery 900 quarterly. It's a very beautiful space and is open to the public. The list of artists who have exhibited at the gallery exceeds 30 now and includes such notables as Nina Jerome, Jill Hoy, Robert Shetterly, James Linehan, Diana Young, Bill Irvine, Paul Black, and right now we have a show by Darren Rocket, who I think may be attending today, this Zoomcast. It's a popular program, and we are scheduled out to the end of 2027. Next, on the 900 Broadway campus, we expanded our reach to other areas of patient care, including the lab waiting area, where one patient who requires repeat blood draws and infusions told me she sits in different chairs each time she visits to study a different painting. She says it really helps her manage the ups and downs of her condition, and that is exactly what we want to hear. Back at the main hospital early on, the cafeteria and the emergency room were both decorated with photos that were made in colorful wallpapers that would stand up to the hospital cleanliness requirements. In the cafeteria, the photos are of nutritious food taken at the Common Ground Fair. In the ED, we employed calming but magnificent photos of Acadia National Park, all taken by photographer Katie Schaefer. Next, we inventoried the art we had using a professional system that differentiates between ownership and loaned work. This was an important task. It may seem a bit dull to mention, but it increased our organization significantly. To that end, we were able to inventory the art loaned to us by professional artists to line the hallways of the administrative and doctor's offices. This win-win program, offering the artists a place to store art, allowed viewers to view the work, and it's all for sale. On the inpatient hospital side, we took on the elevator lobbies, which serve as important respite areas for patients and visitors. We have 3 themed elevator lobbies, each graced with the work of different artists: James Hanahan, Nina Jerome, and Leanne Maloney. I would be remiss if I did not mention the strategic alliance we have made with members of the Bangor Symphony Orchestra, who play routinely for patients at least every few weeks. Music has such powerful healing properties. This is an incredibly popular part of our programming. Currently, we are working hard on acquiring art for the Largay building, the former fire station adjacent to the hospital, that will serve as a meeting place for the board and for important staff training. We just concluded an RFP that not only allowed us to collaborate with artists to acquire and purchase art, but in most cases to reproduce with permission, so very important, the art as well, so we can look into our next step, which is improving the art experience in the patient hallways with prints with cleanable format.
Jean, I have to give you a 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
I wanted to avoid that, but I'm almost done. Vice President Brad Coffey and his assistant Jana May are our staff leaders. Our commission: Jeff Wallstrom, Mary Hollister, Cheryl Coffin, Kathy Lena, Deb Dahl, and myself. I liken us to a team of superheroes, each with a different gift: planning, curating, design, tech skills, healthcare experience. And in my case, I simply know a lot of artists. We enjoy working together. The link to the website is very rich. Please look at that to see all the pictures you want.
Thank you so much, Jean. There's a question in the chat about finding the RFP. So that's if that's available, Jean, to drop in there, or otherwise we can maybe try to follow up with that after.
That has concluded.
That's concluded. Okay. But anyway, we'll make sure everybody knows how to contact each other if they want to learn more. That old firehouse is such a cool building. My parents live in Bangor and I passed it a lot. So that's so exciting to hear. So our last presenter, before we go into about a half an hour of discussion and Q&A and all of that, is Jamie Silvestri, who is the program director, art therapist, and founder of Art Van, which is the definition, I think, of meeting people where they are. She founded it in 2004, envisioning a program that would bring art therapy directly into neighborhoods with limited access to social services, after-school programs, and summer activities. Art Van works to empower and strengthen people of all abilities to support their mental health and creative self-expression for healing. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And I will try to be 5 minutes. So can we just kind of everyone just shake a little bit? I feel like I need to do that. Could be your head, move your head. You could stand up if you want, shake your shoulders, maybe pound on the floor. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm kind of an antsy person. And then take in a deep breath. Lift your arms up. Take it in, hold it in for a moment. Feel your body and deflate. So this is how we might start a group in a neighborhood, especially after school. So Art Van is, as mentioned, an organization that serves low-income neighborhoods, and that's how we've started, and we've gotten more popular and expanded to other populations within school settings and with seniors and early learners. I was asked, though, to talk about, not as much about Art Van, but to talk about the difference between, as an art therapist, expressive arts therapist, and therapeutic arts. So for me, as an expressive arts therapist, similar to you, Catherine, trained in other modalities in addition to visual arts. So I'm a visual artist with a degree in studio arts, but also now trained as an expressive arts therapist. We focus more on the relationship and the process of how art is created. And so here's what art therapy is as a definition. And so there is a product, of course, that shows up, but that's not what we focus on. And in describing to youth in a program, and it's a group process format. So if Evan and Matt want to talk about group process, I love group work and love to sit and chat with you about that. So we work with whomever walks in the door, and that creates a safe space for the group to take ownership and focusing on the art materials and how those art materials are used. So we don't describe a project specifically. It's more about demonstrating the materials that are used in the project. And so how to express anger, it may be, let's make big lines if you have a lot of energy after school. If you're feeling calm, it would be soft lines. And so building that sense of permission for young people or anybody to express how they feel through their art without judging that it looks good or bad. So in my training, we not only learned about the diagnostic manual for clinical settings, but we became those diagnoses. So we would practice tic syndrome or ADHD or these different diagnoses. We would become it, not only read about it and learn it, but we'd experience it. So it's a lot about embodiment and what does that look like in our bodies as individuals. And it helped build empathy as we work with different clients and people. We also would become the clay and not just talk about how does clay can be a regressive medium. What does that look like if you work with clay with individuals? And some of them may just get into really wet smearing and smudging, a very regressive medium. And then how do so you deconstruct, and then how do you reconstruct into something more solid, like your ego, and how to make decisions and look at what is showing up through the art material. So in our training, we became that medium to understand it. We might have somebody sculpt us and move us. And so that's the difference in a basic way of the foundation of art therapy and art therapists. Community art therapy is what I do. I've taken it out of where I've worked in psychiatric settings. My last inpatient job was here in Maine back in the early 90s, and I helped open the adolescent psychiatric unit at St. Mary's Hospital as a primary group therapist. And I saw within that time frame where a client's stay would drop from 4 weeks down to 4 days, and it would be a quick diagnosis, medication, out the door. I'd see them back within a month. And so I felt like healthcare healing was not happening. And so it took me a few years, but I came in the side door and I designed this organization back in 2004 to go directly and bring the art therapy component directly into neighborhoods as a form of prevention. So it's a non-clinical approach, but as a clinician, trained as a clinician, I have all that there, but I don't look for diagnosis. We don't look for family history, and we welcome every individual with full potential and love and work with them as they are. I may see, oh, that's, that child has got a lot of energy, could be ADHD or something else in the diagnostic world, but I just give them a job and they're my marker collector or helper and make it work. Keep them for an hour and a half after school and 2 hours in the summer. Keep kids engaged, keep them moving and creating art. And a work of art may turn into a theater performance, or it may turn into a dance. There's lots of movement. So we really just work with whom shows up. It's a drop-in, so we never really know who's coming into a neighborhood. But we do see the same kids pretty frequently and consistently during our weeks. So we're in neighborhoods for 44 weeks out of the year. So it's consistency, building those relationships, getting to know their families. We're right in their hood. So we really see the dynamics that happen socially and then how to help support them through their well-being, and see change. We are now seeing second generation families. So moms who are kids in Art Van now bringing their kids, and they feel really safe to be there. So there we see the work even happening even quicker. So that's our community art therapy component, and just is supporting, you know, the unique self-expression of each individual. So I don't
Beautiful,
know where I
Jamie.
went time.
Is this an okay wrap time?
Yeah, that's
And
perfect.
this is transitioning. Thank you so much, Jamie, first and
Yeah, you're
foremost.
welcome.
And we're really transitioning now into, you know, about 25 minutes of just open conversation. And I'll do some just very light facilitation just to keep things going in order. But, you know, feel free to raise your hand if you have a question. And I'll just kind of go through everybody in order. So first of all, round of muted applause for everybody that just shared. Amazing work. So yeah, feel free, everybody. Barbara, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. It's a blessing and an honor to be in this place with you all. It was really great to hear and learn about all the different ideas and to witness the presence of arts being recognized in our community, in our healthcare practices, and more. I moved back to Maine about 2 years ago, and I came from Massachusetts, and I've been working in the arts. I just turned 70 last Sunday, and I've been working in the arts since I was about 17. And I was wondering, have people like I've had an art program through Safe Harbor Community Recovery Center, and unfortunately, um, my grant funding has really diminished. And I was just wondering were other people experiencing that, and if you had any suggestions, because it's I just find it, you know, I've communicated with a lot of the folks here on through the Maine Arts Commission. It's overwhelming for somebody to try to administer, facilitate, do all the outreach, do the grant writing, and I've had trouble finding partners with nonprofit to be able to coordinate with. And you know, I've been doing this work a long time. I have a master's in education, multiple styles of learning through the arts, and a lot of experience. And I'm just, you know, looking for some support and to see what other people, you know, their solution is. And I really appreciate this format and to be able to come together with like-minded artists that are from this area. So I appreciate what you all are doing. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Barbara. If you're comfortable, if you want to drop a way to get in touch with you in the chat, please absolutely feel welcome to do so. Mia or
Thank
Maya.
you.
Everybody, yeah, Mia, no worries. Um, I had a question for our presenters about the staffing process of offering such like in-depth and um, robust types of intersection, because I know that there's like research that needs to go into that. And so like where does the process start? Are you doing the research yourselves? Of course, I imagine that's the case. And then and doing trainings yourself and then implementing it throughout your staff, or are you contracting folks to represent the organization for programs?
Any speakers want to take that? Yeah, Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, we just hired an art therapist. So we have been seeking specific art therapists for the position if we're going to call ourselves a mobile art therapy organization. That's been challenging. The field is just getting popular in Maine, coming out of Boston, and a lot of art therapists like to go into private practice. And you know, if you get make a little more money, nonprofit is not a place to go to make money, at least not in ours. But it certainly fills the heart. So we have a part-time art therapist, Sarah Balcio, and just hired Sam Getko, who's graduating in May. So we're pretty jazzed about that. But in the past, it was really hard, and we worked with artists who had a natural ability to understand mental health.
Thank you.
Yeah, what great question.
Yeah, I can also jump into just as a fellow museum colleague. So honestly, a lot of it is me right now. And I think part of it is because like I really enjoy it, so I've kind of like made it part of my job to do. But also definitely thinking about that sustainability and ability to scale it up and not have it just be all on one person here. So I'm starting to we have paid educators who lead our school groups, and I'm starting to have them kind of like shadow or like observe programs and have them kind of get trained up to do these programs so that we can offer them more holistically and across the board. And then the research piece, I think, is research writing and also sharing out a lot of this is something that I know that probably a lot of us, if I had to guess, like it's just that's a really challenging piece sometimes is to share the work out. So finding that time. So I'm thankful we have some really great partners in the medical community who help me kind of do some of that research, find some of that research, and then kind of motivate each other to like write about the work that we're doing to help get it out there. So it's a challenge and we don't have it figured out, but we're working on it. Thanks.
Thanks, Megan.
Holly, go ahead.
Hey everybody, my name is Holly Ecker and I work with Arts and Minds in New York City, and I'm so happy to learn about everything that's going on in Maine. We work with people that have dementia and their care partners in museums. And well, I just so enjoyed everybody's telling us about what you're doing. Matthew, I loved hearing about the work that you created and that idea of tapping into something that words can express using your art. And that's sort of what we do as well. And also Jesse learning about the dance therapy projects using an open-ended approach. I was just wondering for any of the panelists, both of you guys or anyone else who spoke today, if you could share with us the impact that you've seen on programs that you do with people with dementia. We kind of ran out of time, Jesse, with your program to hear about it, but we see such benefits like in New York at all the museums that we collaborate with. And I just wondered what it's like there for you all. Thank you.
Molly, can I say something?
Yes, jump in.
Okay, great. First of all, the previous question was, I think, around maybe research or sort of an evidence base, and I wanted to put in the chat the Neuro Arts Resource Center. I put it in there a couple things back there. The Neuro Arts Resource Center is a project of the Neuro Arts Blueprint, and they are trying to sort of catalog and organize all of the research around arts and neuroscience and aesthetic experiences. So it's just a really great resource. It's free, it's open to anybody, and you can go there and find all kinds of research studies. Also, I wanted to mention the National Organization for Arts and Health, or NOAA, is another great place to just find resources. It's again, it's free and open to the public. Just a really, really great resource.
My 2 cents, just very simply, a student that comes into my classroom, and in the past working with kids that you're talking about, they just want to feel normal. And so I think arts is a great place for kids to do that. And you have to have an educator that willing to let kids be themselves and make modifications whenever possible. I've done some projects where we're on the floor because it really helps kids to move. I've seen kids come out of their shell, and so if you're an outside observer and you walk in, you would not be able to pick out that kid, that they just sort of fit in. And I think as educators we need to think about that and to be mindful of that and to modify as much as possible so that kid feels at home.
Thank you.
Molly, can I jump in one more time?
Yes, please.
Because I'm sorry, I meant to answer Holly, you mentioned people with dementia, and I'm sorry. our team at Improvement did a large research study on people with mild cognitive impairment and their care partners. And we were looking at trying to sort of figure out what the health benefits of dance movement and social engagement were for that population, both those things separately, but also together. And we're getting ready to publish that research. It's coming out soon, and I can share it with this group. But we saw all kinds of incredible benefits, social benefits, cognitive benefits, expressive and creative benefits, a lot of balance, work with balance and reduced fall risk, things like that.
Thank you so much. Holly, feel free to drop your contact info if you'd like. Oh, you did there. Great. You're way ahead of me. Melinda, you want to ask next?
Sure, thank you so much. And I am so happy to be here. This is really so inspiring to me. I am interested in the benefits of crafting as separate from the benefits of art. And I know we haven't really spoken a lot in this group about crafting. I most recently was working with Tear Cap Workshops, which is the rural craft school in Hiram. And I I know that I've done some research, mostly coming out of the UK about the benefits of crafting, especially the somatic benefits. So I just wanted to share with you an example of what I see. If any of you have seen people doing needle felting, you actually have a thing with four needles, and you're literally stabbing at the wool. And it's very therapeutic. I just want to share that, as well as, I'm a silversmith. I use a torch. I think you can never underestimate the empowerment that comes with letting somebody use a small butane torch. So I just wanted to make sure that crafts, and maybe I belong in a different group, but I just wanted to make sure that we were also including some of the research on crafting, which is really important, especially like that we know that repetitive movements can be very, very therapeutic. And this is why I think a lot of places are now integrate. I mean, there's even bars. There's a pub in Portland that's integrating crocheting as an activity. So I just wanted to bring that forward and let you all know that I think that while there are differences between the process of crafting versus creating art that's self-expressive, I think that they both are aligned. So thank you.
Yeah, craft tools can be really powerful.
Mhm.
Hammers,
Oh,
carving tools, needles. Yeah,
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, thank you. Any response to Melinda? Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, a lot of times I hear, oh, I'm not an artist, from adults, from kids, like this message. And I really, and it's so funny, we're all in boxes where we're trying to be so fluent here and out of boxes thinking. But I always say that for me, we all have an imagination. And like you get up and you imagine what you're going to wear today. You're going to imagine what you're going to cook for dinner. And then the creative process to me is putting that imagination into action. So no matter what the medium is, and that's the art form, whether you're gardening, design, rearranging your bedroom, making a painting, needle felting, and so for me, there's no boxes around anything. Like it's creative process is where and that's where, what Matthew was saying about that one child. And it's like, there's all sorts of ways that you can use and do use our imagination. And we don't even realize how creative and artistic we are all day long in the most simple forms. And so I try to move away from it, so I'm not interested in the diagnosis, the boxes. Anyway, so, and yeah, crafts, right on. Yeah, we use hammers and nails at Art Van, and some kids never have used a hammer. Yeah.
Can I just add one more thing onto that? And I just wanted to talk about how beautiful it is, the art of creating
in the presence of others. And that seems to be the thing that I've seen at Tear Cup workshops, that people together and creating in the presence of others is just so impactful. I mean, it's just beautiful to see. Thank you.
I just
Thank
want
you.
to say something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I cannot go to all the art shows in the world, but I have found a website. It's called Colossal. If you've never heard of it, is a terrific website that has pretty much the latest, greatest art going on. And if you go there, you will see that there is definitely a pattern of what you would consider the crafts breaking down that barrier and actually say, no, it is art. And so one of the things that I'm trying to teach my kids, especially on the higher end, the kids that are higher ability, is that there is no demarcation and that craft becomes art when somebody really cares about it and puts that much time and effort into it. And so I think some of that is our jobs as educators, if we work with younger kids, to let them know that there is no difference. It's really the amount of love you want to put into it. And so definitely, if you check out that website and you look at a lot of the shows, you will see that the tide is turning, I think, in popular culture, especially with crocheting trees. Wonderful thing. So I think it's an exciting time for crafters, and it's exciting time for artists to reinvigorate us and go past the standard art materials that we have always held to a high esteem of, like oil painting and watercolor painting and working with wire, and we can add thread to that. We can add yarn to that. So it's really cool.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for your question, Melinda. A team, CAM governing body member, a team who's amazing.
You can hear me right now? Can you hear
Yeah.
me? I just put it in the chat because I was going to jump off. But I ran a family support program in San Francisco years ago, and I worked with Hunters Point, Visitation Valley, all these places that were considered ghetto or low income, but primarily Black, brown, and yellow. And I did a parent-child bonding group for non-custodial fathers, but mothers and children showed up. And so I just changed it to parent-child bonding. And it was just an opportunity to bring families together and paint, but I saw firsthand how they were really bonding. The families were really bonding, and more people would show up. I had to go get more and more paint. And I ended up getting into visual art as a result because I found the peace in painting, and I saw firsthand the joy in the room, the silence, the chatter. And I wonder, because I'm not a researcher, if there is an opportunity to find research, or if there's research out there that proves anything around prevention for substance use disorder that the group can tap into, that opioid fund or settlement to get some funding, because I just think that arts is a really big deal when it comes to healing, when you have an opportunity to ventilate and bond. And I have to go.
I'm glad we caught you. Thank you so much, Ateem. Megan, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's possible everywhere. I don't have any research specifically on the substance abuse, but we do have one of the artists from the Maine Creates training who's working in a correctional reentry center, and she's using clay in the most basic way because she can't use any tools or supplies within that space. So it's all hand building, and she's working on bringing families together during visitation to work with the women that are in the reentry center. And really, again, like speaking to all that everyone's been sharing today about making next to someone side by side, witnessing each other, and building back that communication and that safety and trust so that that reunification process is really starting even before folks are reunified. So we're hoping to get a lot of rich storytelling and information from that new experience, and we'll share that down the road.
I'm sharing the Maine Reentry Network, which is something a team shared with me. And this is just a really great way if you want to plug into the reentry community. It's a really regular, very welcoming, very inclusive meetup. So yeah, Courtney.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I think I unmuted myself. Hi, I'm Courtney. I'm the Adult Services Librarian at Maryland Memorial Library in Yarmouth. Met a few weeks ago with Christina, and she referred me to this wonderful resource. And I am just, there's so many rabbit holes to go down. So a lot of high praise for everyone who spoke this morning. I did have a few questions about whether any of y'all have collaborated with libraries or librarians in utilizing the arts just across the spectrum to build community, combat social alienation and isolation, which I know COVID really exacerbated. I work really closely with the like folks who are generally 60 plus in our community, and work really closely with a local organization called Aging in Place Yarmouth. And they are one of our most heavy and committed library users, and they attend a lot of our programs. And I'm really invested in exploring the arts and creativity as vehicles for community building and like vibrant aging, and just encouraging creativity amongst all ages. So I'm kind of rambling, bear with me, but yeah, I just, if anyone's worked with libraries in the past or had successful collaborations, I'd love to hear more about that.
Thank you. Barbara's waving like you want to respond to that, I think.
I wanted to respond to a couple of those things, but since a team left, I'll go to Courtney first. I did several programs that were actually intergenerational programs in the Boston Public Library. I'm a vocalist and artist educator, and I did two programs called History Through Song, which used music as a vehicle to bring curriculum about the history from the heart of Africa to the soul of America, and then from the Civil War to the civil rights. But there is a lot of room for collaboration for that. I have not been successful in collaborating with Maine, so I would love to talk to you. I've had extensive experience in that area. But as far as I teach a program now through Safe Harbor Recovery Center, and we have something called the Voices of Hope Recovery Choir, in which addiction is a family disease. So we have members who are in recovery, as well as family members who are suffering with their family members. And music is uplifting and healing, as you guys know. And I do a lot of exercises that have to do with resetting the vagal nervous system when you're doing vocal exercises. So my program involves peers coming together and supporting each other, as well as teaching them vocal skills, and then performing in the community as an outreach vehicle to share that, we can recover, and that, there's a lot of healing through the music process. So, but as I said, I'm having real trouble accessing like funding for that. The opioid funds that a team was talking about have been so difficult to attain, because each community has their own process. And even though it was awarded like 3 years ago, trying to get at that money is really challenging. So if anyone, I put my info in the chat. If anyone has any experience, or if they want to work with me as a dedicated artist and experienced artist, I would really appreciate it. And I really appreciate this format.
Thank you so much, Barbara. We're running up on time. I'm going to give Lisa a quick minute, if that's okay, and then I want to pass it back to Christina, who's going to give some really important closing words to everybody.
Sure. I just have a very quick question, and it's about targeting the audience. I know some of the programs have audiences that are just natural because that's who they serve. But for instance, in the dance program, like I'll use that one. How do you make sure that you're not getting the people who are likely to move anyway and targeting the people that could benefit the most because they're not likely to move? So just how to make sure we're getting programs to the people that need them the most.
Yeah.
It's a really important question, and I think I don't have the answers. I will say that the dance classes that I teach at Maine Health are open to anybody. So it is sometimes people who would move anyway, and sometimes it's not because it's in a new environment and a new place where people aren't used to kind of coming in contact with art. And so I do get some folks who wouldn't normally dance. I think we're going to be talking next week about arts-based social prescribing, which is a huge piece to that question that you bring up, Lisa.
Thank you. Pass it back to Christina now.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, everyone. I wanted to take a moment to express thanks to the staff at the Maine Arts Commission. None of this would be possible without the team's effort. And also, the Commission Board has been incredibly supportive of arts and health and this initiative that we're working on. To have the support of our commission means that we can do this work in a way that maybe we've never been able to do before. And sometimes I get a little emotional because I've been in this field for a while, and I'm so thrilled to see so many people here and doing the work. So thank you to the commission staff and the commission board. I know Amy Hausman is here, our executive director. She's an incredible resource. Eli, thank you for running tech. Kimberly, for all your hard work behind the scenes. Danielle, for your support. Martha, I know you're here too, watching that chat. It takes a team, right? It takes the whole world to make us all work together and be healthy. So I want to encourage you to reach out to your friends today, your older adults, and to make something. And we will see you on October 31st for the next roundtable next Friday. If you haven't registered, please do so. We have lots of healthcare entities and community organizers who are going to present. So I think we are a little 1 minute over time, Molly. Yay. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Molly. Thank you,
Thank
Christina.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Nice
Thank you
meeting
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Informative
Thank
and
you.
inspiring.
Thanks, everybody.